Welcome to the next project. Today I have a number of little things going on. We're starting with plugging the area in the body where the original output jack was. Since I thicknessed the body down, the location of the output jack was centered in the body originally, but since I took a ½ inch off the back, the hole was sticking through. So I had to cut lumber out and put in a new block. So the new output jack will fit in the center of that once I get the back cap on. So that's going well. I also had to repair some damage that I did to the body. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I mismeasured, and as I was cleaning up the inside a little bit more, I routed a little too deep. It was an easy fix, fortunately, and also this is getting a veneer over the outside, so my accident will be hidden. Putting together the lumber for a new back cap. I'll be gluing that up, showing you how I go about that, and also thickness sanding it, getting it ready for the veneer. And then pretty much to wrap up this video, we'll be plugging the holes in the headstock where the tuners go and rethinking how that's going to look. If it's going to be 3x3s or 4x2 or something crazy. Maybe I'll turn this into a violin. I don't know. Let's get these projects started. I'm addressing the output jack area now. Since I planed so much off the back of the guitar, I cut into where the original output jack was bored into the body. So now I'm prepping a block of wood to replace that area that was cut out and cutting a bunch of relief slots so I can just snap the wood out of the way and then follow up with a little chisel to clean things up. It was important to really pay attention to the surfaces that were all going to be glued together. I kept working them over and over, trying to get things as tight and as neat as possible so the glue would have a good surface to bond to. As this piece got closer to being ready to glue in, I realized I didn't like the way it fit as much as I had hoped. So as you can see, I started over. It really didn't waste too much time, and I really am wanting to get a good glue surface, make sure everything fits nice and snug. Here you go. I went straight to glue at this point, and when the glue sets up, I'll go back and I'll smooth up the outside of the body, get the curved shape, sand it smooth. At this point, there's no particular order in how I'm approaching some of the things I'm doing. I had the wood for the new back cap on hand, and while one thing is drying or some other project is in the way, I'd jump around and I'd work on things of this nature. Here I'm getting all of the wood cut roughly to length, outlining the body on the wood, and now I'm going to start jointing the edges to make sure they all fit together very nice and tight. Since I don't have an actual shooting board to use a plane on, I just kind of faked it. I stacked up some wood to get it off of the surface of my bench, and then just used the bench to slide my plane along to true up the edges of the wood. And I was able to easily check them against each other to make sure there are no gaps, no bows, everything fit together nice and neat. And you can see a pile of sawdust, or actually wood shavings, I should say, from running the plane along the edges. I have a scrap board, the big white piece you see there, that I'm screwing some, I call them shoulder clamp strips. I don't even know what the proper term would be for them. But I'm using them to help clamp the back pieces together, so when I glue them, they'll kind of snap into place and create their own wedge kind of clamp. Here I'm adding some standard masking tape to the back side of the pieces that I'm going to be gluing together. And this is just to keep glue from squeezing out the back and bonding the pieces to that white board. And as you see, when I push down on the pieces, they kind of snapped into place, which creates a clamping pressure on the seams already. Then I use those two very long clamps to help squeeze the outer edges just to make sure everything stays tight. And adding a little bit of weight to help hold everything in place. Take things apart and prepare to glue those pieces together. And again, the process is the same. I add some masking tape to the seam to keep the glue from squeezing out the back and bonding the new back cap panel to the big whiteboard. And I use the tape as a hinge with this so I can work the glue in, make sure it gets good contact all the way through, clean it up a little bit, and add some weights to hold everything in place while it dries. Now it's time to do just a little bit of cleanup to the back panel after the glue has had plenty of time to set up. I think actually it was probably a couple days later when I went back to do this. But right now I'm just knocking down the high spots, the irregularities in either the seams or the wood itself, just trying to get it kind of close to flat. I use double stick tape again, tape the back panel to a thick piece of MDF board, and then I run it through my drum sander, which is another project that I had done earlier this year, I guess. And it works really well. I'm running 80 grit paper on the drum sander and probably passed each side of the back panel through a couple dozen times to get it evenly thinned out and evened up the way I want it. Projects are jumping around a little bit more, and now I am cutting plugs for the headstock to plug the tuner holes. This is some very hard maple that I'm cutting plugs out of, and the maple is hard and my plug cutter is dull, and it smelled like a forest fire in there for a while. And now opening up all of the existing machine holes in the factory headstock to fit the new plugs that I had cut. Gluing both inside the hole and the plug itself and pressing the new plugs into place. And now it's time to trim the plugs down. I'm using another pole saw, which has a very thin kerf, or basically it's a very thin blade, cuts a thin kerf. And since this wood is so hard, it has to work at it a little bit. It does a very good job. It just takes a little bit of time. Then I follow this process up with a little bit of sharp chisel work again, just to clean it up a little bit more. And I need to remind everyone, including myself, that everything I'm doing in these videos is really just experimental. None of it is necessary. There's really probably no good reason to do any of this. This guitar did play well right out of the box. Once it was assembled, it could use a new set of strings, fretwork, the normal stuff. But the rest of it, this is all just for a challenge, just to see what I can do, how to fix things when it goes bad. And my camera crapped out. Great. Just another project. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned. There's going to be more to come. As you can see here, there's some teasers as I start to play around with where the tuning machines will go and various other things. Anyway, take care. Bye.